Here.
Mrs. Egan?
Here.
Ms. Davenport?
Here.
Mr. Hillman?
Here.
Mrs. Callen?
Here.
Mrs. Lammel? And Mrs. Petropoulos.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would like to welcome our guests tonight. Marlene, thank you for being here. Ms. Gallagher, thank you on behalf of the union for being here as well.
Okay. We don't have any, do we have a one?
We do have a donation
Okay.
to the district.
Potential board action to approve acceptance of $500 Walgreens gift card awarded to Mrs. Mary Ryan, kindergarten teacher at Ridge Lawn from Walgreens, and from Me and We program to be used toward purchase of classroom supplies.
Yeah, so just to give you a quick background on this, Mrs. Ryan, kindergarten teacher over at Ridge Lawn, put in back in July. It was just like a paragraph thing of why she's a teacher and how she sees herself using a gift card for supplies in the classroom. And she listed all the things she would be able to buy with that. And so she just was told about a week and a half ago that she was being awarded that gift card. Which is just a really nice thing. If you remember earlier this year, Mrs. Ryan is also our person who went viral with her tweet of an EL parent reading in the classroom. And I went back on her page last night just to see how many views it had. It's at 2.7 million, which is just unbelievable. So she's had a really, really good year this year. So I would recommend that we approve that donation.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Mrs. Egan?
Aye.
Mrs. Petropoulos?
Aye.
Mrs. Callen?
Aye.
Mr. Hillman?
Aye.
Ms. Davenport?
Aye.
And Ms. Salzer.
Aye. Okay, approval of consent agenda from the minutes from February 11th open session, February 11th closed, and February 25th study session. Also for financial reports, well, I'm not going to do all those, yeah. For a number of bills, accounts payable.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Mr. Hillman?
Aye.
Ms. Davenport?
Aye.
Mrs. Callen?
Aye.
Mrs. Petropoulos?
Aye.
Mrs. Egan?
Aye.
And Mrs. Salzer.
Aye. Superintendent's report.
All right. Throw that in there for a second. All right, PTA report. I know Mrs. Lamel is not here yet. I know she's running a little bit late. But we had, 2 weeks ago, we had movie night over at Ridge Central. They had Arctic Dogs for the younger students, which is where I spent my time with our kids. And then in the older, it was fire or something?
Chasing Fire,
Chasing Fire. I know it had John Cena in it.
Catching Fire.
And that one was really crowded when I
Yeah.
went in. I realized free movie night really means you spend a lot of money at the concession stand. But it was a nice turnout, a great thing to offer for kids, just on a Friday night to be able to be there. Mrs. Salzer and her grandkids made it even less time than I did. But it was a really nice evening. And then this Friday, we have open gym over at Ridge Lawn, and I believe we're kind of splitting it up this time, where some of the younger kids will be on one half and the older kids, just because that hasn't worked out too well in the past when they're just all combined. So we're interested to see how that goes, and I'll be running around and throwing whatever we need to throw and have a good time. So thank you for the PTA to keep providing events for our students. School and department reports. You'll see in your packet that there are quite a few events that have been going on. I really wanted to point out our mobile care unit that we did as part of our PFR, Partnership for Resiliency. And that is really trying to make sure we are providing our students and our staff with different needs. We all know that part of the school job is obviously to teach academics, but it's also to make sure kids have what they need to be able to learn. And we were able to have the Mobile Care Dental Clinic come out. I believe it was 157, am I close?
Yes.
157 of our students were seen by the dentist and got a free cleaning. Also some minor work that could be done, and then if they needed follow-up, the parents signed off and they're going to come back and provide some of that follow-up. Talking with the mobile care, this is just something that continues to grow once districts have it in place and the families start talking, so we expect those numbers to grow even more next year. We also have the asthma van coming out, and those numbers are usually very high as far as how many kids they service for asthma and to diagnose them and to get them services. So it's been a nice thing that we've been able to offer so far. You also see in there, we had our EL Family Night over at Ridge Lawn a couple weeks ago, and that was a carnival theme. That was very crowded, very, very well run. It was, what I appreciated the most was getting there and seeing some of our junior high students helping at the event. They maybe didn't want to participate in all the games, but they were helping the little kids, even ones who weren't their own siblings, and that was really nice to see. And that's what you want to see as a community school, of everyone kind of coming together and working. So, and then last, just so everyone knows, on our school improvement day, we looked at assessment work, but we also rotated in and out of a PD session with Single Path, who talked to us really about net safety and not falling victim to phishing scams and things like that. It is amazing how sophisticated some of these people are who are trying to get your information. And so they talk to our staff about that, and obviously we talk to our students all the time about being very, very safe online. So that's just some of the things that we've had going on in the schools and in the departments. Enrollment report, you'll see that in February 2020 was 1,475 students. Last month, we were 2 less than that, so we've gone up 2, but that does still put us down 73 from last year. So we're just kind of continually monitoring that and seeing how those numbers impact classes and as we prepare for next year. Vacant positions and possible staffing needs. The 2 big positions we're still looking to fill are some para positions and custodial staff. One of the interesting things that we had, you'll see later in the packet that we did have a custodian from Ridge Lawn who put in a resignation, and she is going to the high school. But she said, I see that you guys post on your website, have you ever thought of using Indeed? Well, in the school system, we think everyone goes on our website, but there's certain people who would never think that. And Ms. Sataro made a post on Indeed on like a Thursday or Friday night. I think we had over 30 applicants by that Monday. And so we are definitely looking to go that route with paras, but definitely with subs as well. So it was really nice getting someone to tell us, even as they're leaving, this might be what you want to do. And I know she's going to miss the place, but we do wish her well. So next up, we have our school calendar for the 2021 school year, and you've hopefully seen over the last couple months how that calendar has evolved. The one shift that we did look at making was for May 13th of 2021 to make that a non-attendance day. Last school year, when Eid fell on a school day, we had very, very low attendance, and it was only 32% of the students at Ridge Lawn were in attendance, and about a third of the students at both Central and Findlay missed, as well as 31 staff members were out that day. And obviously that's not going to be a very productive instructional day for everyone, so I am going to recommend that we do give that as a day off. You also notice that our winter and spring break periods do match up with District 218. I spoke with the principal at Richards today, Mike Jacobson, to really talk and try to firm up a graduation date. And it looks like Tuesday, June 1st, so that would be the day after Memorial Day, would work the best for them, because Richards' graduation is that Thursday night. And I do think trying to host a graduation on the Friday before Memorial Day might be a little difficult for some families. So I would be recommending that we look at graduation Tuesday, June 1st, with everyone else getting out of school on Thursday, June 4th. Or June 3rd, sorry.
Was there any thought or discussion, I know that we had spoke about not doing the Teacher Institute on the 28th, but as opposed to the 14th, or at least, if not, checking the numbers, because I am concerned if Thursday's off, a lot of kids are not gonna come Friday, then it makes Friday a day that's a wash anyway as well.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. So I did try to look back at the numbers from last year. Well, the numbers would have been from the last day of school, so we actually had everyone, for the most part, show up.
Okay.
But I do think that is definitely a concern, and so I would love to get some input on if we would want to move the Teacher Institute to Friday the 14th or keep it where it is on Friday, May 28th. We usually use that last Institute Day for curriculum, and that would not be a problem moving it up 2 weeks from there. I do think it would potentially minimize the impact that attendance would have if we moved it to the 14th.
Don't a lot of kids, even if we have Eid on one day, don't a lot of the students also miss the second day?
That was my.
Yeah, that would be the benefit of moving that Teacher Institute up
What I
to the
remember,
14th.
yeah.
Well, and sometimes, at least I know there's been 2 different days that there's been celebrations, so, but Adam indicated that you spoke with
I'm all
someone
for it.
who. But again, I don't know, like, I mean, if this is something that the district has always had that Friday off, then is it something that people
No.
plan?
No.
Okay,
No.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to see, like, oh, every year we have this
No.
Friday, so I plan my like, I don't wanna do that either.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking if it's like a random Thursday in the middle of the week, and then, oh, we have Friday off, a lot of kids, if they're celebrating or having like
Yes.
a big festivities, and then I know it's, just thinking,
Yeah, Eid changes all the time.
it does, so it can't be a permanent date,
Right.
however, where it's located right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, and this year, the reason that we did not have that discussion is Eid falls over Memorial Day weekend. We'll either do that Saturday or Sunday of Memorial Day weekend. So I would propose then, unless there are other recommendations, to adopt the calendar with moving the Teacher Institute to Friday, May 14th, and adopting everything else. So that's, we'll have that approval later in the meeting.
Do we have wiggle room for the school improvement day, or does there have to be one then in May?
We could adjust it up or down. I know we've tried to have it on Wednesdays, but we could definitely shift it. I would suggest to shift it probably to the 19th or even the 26th.
Oh, I get it.
You're talking about for early dismissal? For
Mhm.
early
Yeah,
dismissal?
because you
Yeah.
have half day, day off, and then a Teacher Institute, so.
But isn't it always in the same, why is it?
We adjusted there, like you
It's
look
usually
in
on
February,
4th, but yeah, there's
you look in
months.
February, it's the last
I didn't think of
because,
that.
yeah,
December, we don't even do it.
yeah.
But considering if a parent is trying to find a sitter for that, like having that extra additional half, or I
Yeah.
can see where Tiffany's coming from as
Yeah.
well.
Knowing that we would then be in school on Friday the 28th, I would recommend we would make the SIP day Wednesday the 26th.
Could we move the SIP day to a Friday, or does it have to be the Wednesday?
I know we've usually tried to keep it on a Wednesday, just for consistency for the parents.
I personally would advocate for keeping it on Wednesday.
Plus Richards has a late start anyway, so I think parents usually that have kids involved kind of accommodate for a cookie day on Wednesdays.
Does Richard said every Wednesday they'd start?
Yeah.
Just curious. We do, I was just curious.
This is the first year Wednesday, before it was Tuesday. Yeah, it was Tuesday last year.
Okay. So when we go ahead to do approval, I'll be recommending the Teacher Institute be moved, final Teacher Institute be moved to Friday, May 14th, and the May SIP day moved to Wednesday, the 26th. All right. We also have the recognition dinner coming up. I'm very excited to be able to participate in that. I've been told I get to give hour-long speeches, so I will start writing those.
They will not like you if you do that.
I will start preparing those right away. I think it was really neat when I look back and saw that this is the 28th annual recognition dinner, and that's pretty nice when you have something that is going on for that long. And it is a really nice evening. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Included in your packet is the invitation that Lori got in there, and please make sure that you return that to her if you decide that you're able to attend. All right. So next on our list is the math curriculum and math instructional coach update. And you know, for the study session last time, we talked a lot about math. A lot about math. And what we presented was for our K-5 that we would like to bring in the Number Corner program, which is it's about 30 minutes a day, and you'll see all the very colorful binders behind you for Number Corner. If you'd like to grab one, please feel free to do so. Along with intervention kits for our K-5, but still piloting next year for an actual program. And once we found the program that we would use, Number Corner would still stay in there. Remember, that's used to build the number sense, the intervention kits, really go with any program. And then with K-8, looking to adopt the illustrative math McGraw-Hill program, and 6-8, what did I say? 6-8 illustrative math. And part of the thing we talked about was the accelerated program and the algebra. And I did talk with Richards, and they did say that the program would be very acceptable, and really who gets into their classes based mainly on teacher recommendation at this point. So I did talk with their assistant superintendent of curriculum for the district. Before I move into anything with instructional coaches, I wanted to answer any continuing questions for math. What we would be asked to do at this point would be to put items on public display for the remainder of the month, and then if there are no concerns moving forward, then we would look in April to adopt those programs.
What's the K-5 numbers? That's
Number
the
Corner.
intervention
Yes.
or
Yeah,
number sense stuff?
the intervention kit is on this side,
Okay.
and then all of those binders are the Number Corner for each grade.
And we are not committing to 5 years of curriculum renewal with this supplement, are we?
What do you mean by that?
I mean, like, if we're not looking at math, I know the pilot, there's more pilot gonna take place, but what I wanna make sure is that we are not approving these and saying this will be the supplement for the next 5 years.
For Number Corner, that's what
Yes.
we would use, yes.
For the whole 5 years, regardless of what we adopt next year?
Yeah, because Bridges Number Corner, it goes with just about anything. It's a whole separate entity. It just happens to be the same company who does that.
But what if the company you go with next year for the following year has a better program? Like, I don't wanna be locked into something that, or like, we already have this piece and now we're committing to 5 years.
Yeah. And the whole point of this is that number sense. Everyone we've talked to, this is a very strong program for that piece of it, the number sense portion.
I have a question. Demetria, isn't that the part that you were saying that our kids are lacking so strongly in, and that's what's gonna build them back up,
Hopefully, yes.
hopefully?
Yes, that's the
Yeah,
goal.
so.
No, I have no problem starting it yesterday or tomorrow and continuing it through next year, but having the option with whatever gets adopted for the following year, that if that, I mean, we have still materials unseen, right? And so if the hope is that for the year 21-22, we have a great program, which is why things were put on hold, then why would we say, like, we have a great program, but we're not gonna use this component because we've just now adopted this part of
Yeah.
a component
Yeah.
for 5 years?
Yeah, if I had questions on this component at all, like that it wasn't gonna work with others, I would definitely agree. But we feel very strongly that this would work with any other program that we bring in.
It's a separate entity than what they normally have in the math, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Is that
So
right?
yeah, but if we
It's
don't
supplemental.
know what the next materials are going to look like.
I know,
But it's a
but-
supplement.
I'm not saying it's not going to work with it, but the next one that we're holding off, hope that the next thing is gonna be better, might be holistically better.
But isn't the thing we're holding off for is for the K through 5 that would go into, if it
that-
comes out?
If it's
If it's
worthwhile,
viable,
and
yeah.
then we won't know until we.
And based on what we know of illustrative math, this would still work. Do you know what I mean?
They don't have that
Right.
component.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have the 90 minutes, so that Number Corner could be used for the additional 30-minute.
No, I get the intention, I don't want us locking into that for 5 years if there's going to be something that we wind up having that's better in 2 years. I don't know why we would lock in for 5
Well, and
years.
we can get quotes for different years to see what they would offer us. And like I said, for tonight, it's putting it on display, and then we can come back with a 2-year quote versus a 5-year quote.
What is the investment on the 5-year? Do we know?
I do have that.
But didn't, when we were in the study session, wasn't it once we bought it, it's ours? Or was that something else? Yeah.
So,
That's what I thought, I didn't think
Yeah,
it was a
wait,
contract.
I don't think it was a
is it,
I thought
is there
it
an
was-
online
that
component
was-
that we're paying
yes,
for 5
yes.
years?
Oh,
Is that what it is?
that's the thing.
And
So-
consumables.
But that, the stuff,
Yeah.
paperwork, whatever. it
So the
is.
number corner is with professional development for next year would be 46,000.
For 5 years,
That's for next year.
just next year?
That's the start, and then you
That's to
have,
get all the pieces?
yes.
All the books?
So student books. I'm trying to see what that went. I will get back to you.
That's
I've
fine.
got a lot of numbers here.
That's fine.
But yeah, so we can definitely pull out the different contracts, what exactly we would have to adopt for 2 years, for 5, and we'll go that route. All right, cool. Okay. And then, like I said, we also have the intervention kits over in that area, which would be used. We would look at purchasing 2 kits for each building, a K2 and a 3-5 for each of the 2 elementary buildings. So if you want to, like I said, want to look through any of it, please feel free to do that. Any other questions on the math? All right, so then the other portion that we talked about was math coaches. And you'll see in the packet that there is a job description of what we envision that being, and it's a pretty intense position if you read through it. And as I've said in the past, I've seen coaches who come in and do great things, and I've seen coaches who really cause more problems than they're worth. And it really comes down to the person and finding that right person who has the content knowledge as well as can build those relationships and that trust with the teachers and know when to push really hard with them and know when to kind of walk with them on something. So if that's approved, to me, that is one of our most important positions beyond administrators that you can possibly do because they can have such a great impact working so closely with teachers. I am recommending that we would have one at both Lawn and Central to maximize that. And then one of the questions that was brought up in the last meeting was we have been working with MCMI through UIC for the last 4 or 5 years. Our contract with them this year was $70,000. And we broke that down, Kathy and I took a look at it, and $12,000 of that is to be part of the consortium, which we would not take part in anymore, and the rest, the $68,000, was used for coaching. And we would cut that way, way back. We would go down to about 28 days of coaching, which is roughly $30,000, and I would look at that being in the junior high, and then also as some support for our new coaches coming on. And then I have one other consultant that I would like to bring in. I'm still waiting on pricing from him that I've worked with in the past that really is good with math coaches that I would like to see. So we would cut our MCMI down by quite a bit, and I think our elementary is ready for that. So.
This person that you're talking about, would that be a kind of a coordinator for the coaches?
He would be kind of that sounding board for them with math-related issues. I would still want our principals and myself to work with the math coaches the majority of the time, but when it comes to math, we used him to really work on common assessments with the coaches and the teachers in the past, and that was a huge benefit to us, so that's what I would look at bringing.
So almost like a mentor?
Yes.
So that would just be like a stipend, that would not be a salary?
Correct, yes. Any questions on the coaches?
So the MCMI that we were using, I'm not super familiar with
Yes.
this. We were paying this money and they were they helping at all?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. From what I can see, they have really shifted the mindset of the teachers, and some teachers have really taken off with it. But I do think it's been so intermittent with the coaching because when we have 28 days next year, I mean, you're talking helping math teachers specifically who can go that long period of time. We had about 70 days coaching split between 3 buildings from MCMI for that cost, and it's so intermittent of when they're actually seen, it's hard to build off of that momentum.
Okay, so then I guess my follow-up question is that like the offset then would be what would be funding at least one and part of the other.
Yeah,
But then when I look at the requirements, my concern is that, you know, it's a bachelor's degree in elementary and middle school education, and I wonder, you know, to be a math coach, does that really, not having a specialized degree in math, I mean, I see having the endorsement for middle school math, or it seems to be more important than just, or I don't know, just experience in teaching
Yeah.
math, because my concern is that if it's just someone who has experience in teaching math, you're gonna run into a situation with teachers when they come in that this person, they may feel is not as experienced as they are, and they may not buy into it. So I just don't want the money to go into having this coach and then have it be something that is not going to get us where we need to be.
Yeah, and then, so with our job description, those are always the minimum requirements. We would definitely be looking for someone who is,
Has coaching
more.
experience,
Yeah.
I guess?
Yeah, so you want to put in your minimum requirements just so you get to see who's applying, and maybe you find someone who doesn't have it, but they just never went and got it, but they just have this mathematical mind, and they're great with people. You don't want to exclude them.
No.
But we definitely would be looking for people.
No, because when I saw the description, I thought, wow, why isn't it someone who has a math degree? But I didn't know. Yeah, I just was curious. 'Cause I just feel like math is such a specialized thing.
So why don't we include that as a requirement?
Because elementary teachers
Yes.
just need to have.
It's not like
They
secondary.
don't need to have it, but can they have it?
Yeah.
When you're secondary,
They do
you have
have
to have
a-
a degree. When you're in elementary, you do you're trained in every genre, I guess.
Agreed, so then what makes someone particularly a coach in math?
Yeah, that was my question when I looked
Yeah.
at the requirement.
Well, their degree would be in math, teaching of math, for a coach.
It
No.
could,
Why
it could
not?
be just an elementary teacher, and what we're saying is we would look for someone who has that experience specifically with math, but,
But then what does that
And I
mean, experience in
misunderstood it.
math?
yeah.
What does that mean
Yeah.
that you have experience in math? Doesn't every then grade
Grade
school
school
teacher have experience in
math?
teaching math?
You have some, in some districts where it's.
I'd like someone to come in and just totally shear the sheet, to be frankly honest. I think we need someone who's extremely specialized in math, specifically tutoring, teaching, coaching, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But it has to be math.
And we definitely will be looking.
This just sounds like we're hiring 2 new teachers.
Yeah, and they're definitely coaches. We would be looking for someone who has that math background for sure. But you also have in certain districts where they switch for classes, you might have a 5th grade teacher, they don't teach English ever. They
They
teach
do math all day.
day
Yeah,
long.
that might block.
Uh,
See, I guess when I read this, when I think of someone that you bring into a school for like a reading specialist, they have a degree as a reading specialist. So when you were talking about a math coach, and this just could be my novice experience in the type of teaching in elementary, I was just surprised to see that it didn't have any specialized degree behind it, because we're saying this is a big deficit, and to say we're gonna hire 2 more teachers to do this, and then we've had the other system, I just don't, whatever's going on is not helping. I don't know that this is the key yet.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm 100% on this.
Yeah, and my concern with not, like putting, they have to have that math
No,
special.
I understand, yeah.
But you will see a lot of times you'll have a junior high or high school person who has that, and, okay, they're definitely qualified in math, but do they know anything about K-5 elementary students and how they learn? Because I know as a junior high teacher, if you would have put me in a 1st grade classroom, you would have told me to leave, because that could not have gone well when I first started.
No, and I get, like, just because you know how to teach math doesn't mean you're gonna be like, yes, I want that to be my whole job. I can't imagine someone applying for it. But I just am concerned if this is going to be, I hate math, no offense, so I would never want, like,
Yeah. And-
but I just like, I just don't know, I'm still not sure that this is gonna be the key. I'm still, I guess I need more information.
Yeah, and I would say, really from watching MCMI, when I've sat in and seen them coaching and the teachers understanding it, they're getting it and they're asking good questions in the moment, but then just following up with an email a week later doesn't have that impact that's going to change someone's teaching.
So you need the person to go into the field, basically,
Yeah.
stand next to them, help them do it.
We'll visit the classroom on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And be at, like, at least once or twice a week, be at those plan periods when they can sit down and talk. What went well in your lesson? What are you struggling with? You need to work on this if this is what you need to improve. So.
Okay. That helps, thank you.
Yeah. My biggest thing is, one person handling all of that, it just seems like it can be overwhelming. So if somebody else has, you were a math coach, right? Okay, how does that work?
I was at one building, 5 through 8.
Is that's my biggest concern, is one person handling all of that.
Right, and you customize your schedule to make, off of the teacher's schedules, and so you do meet with them prior, but you have to get to all teachers, and then you'll push into the classroom, and you're co-teaching with them. So you're co-planning, you're co-teaching, you're debriefing, you're adjusting,
Okay.
and you're also, so it's really a balance of, you're not an evaluator,
Mm.
right? But you
Did you say
are-
you're not?
You're not, you don't evaluate the teachers, but you are coaching them, so you're kind of in between those two roles.
Right.
And it's very effective, if it's the right person that has that relationship going on with the teachers. And so it's very powerful if it's implemented.
And I would like to talk to her schedule. When I talked about, I saw some people who it didn't work. They never put their schedule out there for everyone to see. And that doesn't work. You need to have a schedule that's not only for you to see and your administrator, but all teachers see when maybe you have an opening that they can come and talk to you. Because they will come and talk to you because they want to know how to do it better. So it's being available and being very transparent about what it is you are trying to do in each classroom.
Okay, do we have, here's my question always, is the whole fact of it is a great idea, and I think that it is something that we need. Do we have teacher buy-in on this? Because I know we have had teachers that do butt heads with us and don't want to take the time out to do the plan, or spend 15 minutes after school
Or have someone in the room
do
with them.
something and everything like that, because it has to be a
Actually, that is a big thing.
that's a huge buy-in, I mean, and it's for their betterment altogether, but I think the whole thing is to explain to them that they're not an evaluator, they're a mentor, and that's the difference, is because they're not gonna judge them, they're trying to help them be better, so that when they are evaluated by their administrators, that they are doing better, and that's the biggest thing. I mean, it sounds funny, it sounds like we're having problems finding teachers, how are we gonna find more of them? I mean, do you know do you know what I'm saying? I mean, that is really a specialized person, somebody you're talking about. You can have somebody, I mean, in my position, I'm an accountant, but I also do taxes, and there are not many accountants that have personalities. There's usually one or the other. So it's like you're trying to mesh like two
You're the real deal.
different,
man.
Yeah, well-
you're trying to mesh two different worlds. Do you know what I mean? You're looking for somebody who has all the plates spinning at the same time, which, again, organizational skills, all that other type of stuff.
Yeah, and
You know, which I
to
think
answer
would
your
be a
first part,
challenge.
I don't think since I've started, I've had one type of position asking to be created more than a math coach
Okay.
by teachers. They want this.
Okay.
I think they see the importance of what they've gotten from MCMI, but they want more. And speaking to, are we going to get people? Coaching is a position that good teachers aspire to. It's that kind of in between. I'm not ready to be an administrator, but I'm a rock star teacher. And so I'm ready to take that step of building that learning up in other teachers. So I think we'll have an easier time finding that than we will a regular teacher.
So we could take Melissa away from Jeff.
Do the classes at each grade level have math at the same time, like all
I know
three
it
fourth grades, all
varies.
three fifth grades, all three third grades, that kind of thing?
So what you're saying is that when they meet, they would meet like on teams according to grade level. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it
Work
just
with
makes
them
it easier,
together?
I think,
For
for
a
a
schedule.
coach to be able to schedule like time in each grade level if there is,
Right.
if each grade level has math at the
Don't they
same
do
time.
team meetings anyhow?
I'm not talking about team meetings, I'm talking about math instructional time.
Yeah, again,
No, I know-
like
I know
at
what
you're
10:30,
saying.
I'm going to see third grade.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, very good questions. 5.8, our special board meeting is this Saturday, March 14th. I believe most of us are going to be here.
Oh, wait, what is that?
That's our special board meeting this Saturday.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
All right.
What time is that at?
It starts at 8:30.
6:30.
I get up at 4:30 every day, that is even better.
Yeah, breakfast, light breakfast will be served, so I'm excited about that. And we'll sing Happy Birthday to Someone Long Distance. We are hoping that it will be done no later than 11 o'clock because it is a Saturday. So we do have a pretty tight schedule, but obviously if we have larger conversation, it will go a little bit longer, but our goal is to get out close to then. Both Studio GC and PMA will be there to discuss our facilities and our finance option options moving forward. Kathy and I were able to have a conference call with them last week, right? It was Friday, and just to really talk about making sure everyone is prepared. And we're also going to spend just a little time looking at possibly 2 smaller summer projects, both getting the offices set up in a way that we want them, as well as some cosmetic stuff in the Finley junior high bathrooms. So,
Is it at 8 or 8:30?
8:30.
Okay.
8:30 to 11.
Sorry, I told them at 8.
Lipstick on a cake.
So,
I put it at 8.
Yeah, I have my son's birthday at 2:30 that day at the bowling alley, so I gotta be out if I want to not be in trouble. The Illinois Assessment for Readiness, that is kicking off tomorrow in our buildings. And remember that is what has been PARC up until 2 years ago. I know each school sent home a letter that I wrote out just kind of explaining again what it is. Also, we have the ISA, the Illinois Science Assessment, that our 5th and 8th graders are taking. That is a little bit different this year. We're at 3 sections of 40 minutes each. Before it was like they sat down for an hour, and just magically they all of a sudden threw in 3 40-minute sessions. So they took away some of the IAR testing a couple years ago, and now they're sliding in a little bit more in the science. And it was nice. I had my meeting with the first year teachers yesterday, our mentor meeting, and one of the discussion points was, obviously we want our students to do well on these tests. Everyone sees how the scores do. It's out there in the community. You want them to do well. But I also really stress to them that this is one test. It's 5, 6, 7 days, depending on how we look at it. So these students should not feel bad taking these tests. They should not feel that pressure that we feel as educators, or else they won't rise up to their abilities. And we really want them to be in a calm place. And I know our schools do a really nice job of trying to put them in that place and making it as exciting as you can make 6 days of testing. But again, this is such a small snapshot. It's an important snapshot. But as a district, as a board, as a superintendent, we need to look at this along with many other items that we do to decide if we're doing what we're supposed to. So if any parents come in and complain, just remind them that this is required state testing, and we're gonna do the best we can for our kids with it.
you know, it might help if they didn't keep changing it every single
Yeah.
year.
And this year is very similar to last year's as far as format, but I think that's the first time that we've had back-to-back years where there hasn't been some type of change. And we'll see what they do moving forward. So usually for other, I have some very light information. Today is not that day. We received an email yesterday from the state superintendent talking about the possibility of having to shut schools down for an extended period of time. And hopefully you've had a chance when I've sent out letters to everybody to kind of read the updates that really say we're following what the CDC is saying, we're following what the Department of Health in Illinois is saying, and right now they're saying just do what you're doing. Wash your hands. If you're sick, stay home. That goes for students, that goes for staff, and really just getting that message out there. We have dispersed a lot of our hand sanitizer all over the place. It's amazing what teachers can stockpile over years, or even just from the start of the year. But we do have quite a bit. We have it in lunchrooms. We're reminding them when they come back from the bathroom. I know we've had just all of our teachers have had talks with them, and just trying to make sure we're practicing the hygiene we expect them to practice all the time. You saw maybe possibly yesterday that Governor Pritzker declared the Illinois version of a state of emergency. And he even said mainly at this point to get federal funding to help that out. But we are starting to see schools here and there be impacted. And so the letter from the state superintendent said, we need you to get your e-learning plans in as soon as possible. And they're talking about waiving all these different things that had to be done before, like board approval. I think it was a 28-day waiting period for people to comment before you can then come in and officially approve it. They're saying that they're planning, it looks like they're going to waive all that. They want it on file, so if they shut us down, we have something in place. For districts who already have an e-learning plan in, that's great. Our district does not, and I was surprised at how many districts do not, because I've been emailing back and forth and been on listservs and on the phone with other superintendents. There are a lot of people in our case. And we talked about e-learning briefly at the start of the year and why I didn't want to implement it at the beginning. I think it works really good, like 5th through 8th grade. High schools, it can work great. It actually, I think, prepares them more for what they're going to experience in college. But pre-K to 4, I think that can be a huge struggle, especially when you have, as a parent, multiple kids at home, and like you can't just tell your first grader to complete their homework on the computer without even like assisting them. Hopefully you can do that with an 8th grader, but I know plenty of 8th graders who wouldn't. And so I have an issue with that. The other issue is our EL students and our special ed students. You're still supposed to provide them accommodations. And I have not talked to one superintendent yet that I hear these are the accommodations that we provide that I think are actually worthwhile. I think a lot of them at the elementary level are really just put together to say that you have something. High school, I've seen some stronger things that can work. That being said, I do think we need to get a plan in place because if we're forced to shut down, I think we owe it to our students to still provide some type of education for them. I mean, if we're all of a sudden told you can't open for a month, that's not going to help our kids at all.
A lot of kids are going to be going to their parents' work. Too.
Yeah, it would be really, really difficult, and I think it's also on the school to work with the community to find ways to still support our students. I mean, when you think of our students who receive lunch here at school every single day, and now they're going home, are they still going to be receiving lunch? And are there ways that we can work with partners? So those are all the things that we are looking at right now. I am hoping all of this is a wasted conversation and that we don't ever have to do it. But we met as an administrative team today to kind of start going through this plan. I am meeting with the union tomorrow morning to get their take on it because it obviously impacts teacher hours and everything. They've been told, and I do believe in this, if we put this in place, that I would only use it in this specific instance. If we are basically have to close down because of the coronavirus. If we all of a sudden get a huge snowstorm next week, I still don't want to put this in place. I would still use our emergency days at the end. So what I am planning on doing is adding an item to our meeting on Saturday. Even though it doesn't say board approval, I still would like to get board approval when I give this plan out to you. And we'll hopefully get it on there. It will continue to work. Obviously, we don't send Chromebooks home, but that would be one thing that we would do for students who need them. We would have a sign-off sheet. I did print Richard's off. That was 12 pages long, so I don't think we would go that route. But I do think something 2 or 3 pages that kind of states what our expectations are, along with if something breaks, there might be a deductible of, let's say, $30 for it. If you lose it and don't send it back, I think we pay about $160 for our Chromebooks. So that replacement cost, I would want our parents to know that up front before they're agreeing to take it home. So, any questions? I know this is a pretty heavy topic. And again, we have been given no indication that we're anywhere close to closing, but it is, again, trying to stay ahead of things and be mindful of the realities of what's going on in the state and in the country right now. So.
I mean, this is pretty on point, what you've put together with what at least District 230 is doing, the amount of time that teachers need to be available on email and things like that. The only difference is that, like you said, I would only use it because at our school we have online class housing, which is called Canvas, and you guys,
Yes.
I don't
We
know.
use the Google Classroom.
Google Classroom, which is a little bit different. And my only concern would be, in particular for the lower level students, that hopefully they are trained on how to turn the Chromebooks on and log in case a parent doesn't know. I mean, you know, I know, but I take for granted that maybe there is a parent, if they have to take it home, they don't have that type of device at home. If they're really needing to check one out, so to understand how to even access the teacher's email, especially if it's a younger student.
Yeah, and definitely part of that would be
So
training.
just when they picked it up,
Yeah,
okay, this is how you do it.
And the other part is we would have tech hotlines available because Gino and Bill would still be working, whether it's from home or here, to answer those questions. Administrators would be on there to help the teachers with questions that they have. Paraprofessionals, we are still kind of really trying to decide what would be the best option. I know a lot of districts have done it where they would go through professional development online, or they can take a sick day. Those are their different options. And then obviously, like custodians, I'm assuming we'd be able to have them in here cleaning really, really well, unless they say nobody's allowed in the building at all. But those are all the little things. One thing that I really like that I stole from 218 that they do is not every student has internet access. And so what do? There is in the plan that if they do not have internet access, or if they do, they would have 3 days when they came back for like every missed day. You would add another day at the end. So let's say we were out 2 weeks, you'd have 3 days, but you had all those others, so you would add them. And they would have that many days to turn in the assignment when they got back to count it as being in attendance that day. So we would pay staff to stay in the libraries later in the night or in the mornings so that they can come in and work on those items.
One thing Dr. Thorns and I were talking about earlier too is I can't see Pritzker shutting down the whole state. I don't see how that is even possible. So it would probably go by regions, and probably South Cook would probably make the call for our area. So
yeah. So we'll just keep everyone updated, and like I said, hopefully I'll have a closer to finalized version for you on Saturday morning.
And so you're already planning this? People are already planning at different grade levels? Some?
No, this just came through us yesterday, and once I talk with Union tomorrow, and we have a good understanding, then we're going to start talking to the teachers.
Okay, so teachers are going to be involved in creating these plans, or
in creating like individual, like understanding how to create the lessons online.
So everything doesn't have to be sent up and approved like a 2-week plan?
No.
Oh,
No,
you can make it as you go?
Because the hope would be that this would continue to follow along where you were in the curriculum.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you would adjust it for that time frame.
Okay, that makes more sense.
And not like random like 9 puzzles today or whatever, like.
Well, and that was my issue with some of the plans that I saw
Yeah.
for special
Yeah.
ed. They have a packet, like a go-to packet. Like if you have a snow day, you send this home.
Yeah,
It has nothing to do with what you're covering right now. It could be skill building.
yeah.
Totally ineffective.
So you might need some of those, but not
Yes,
like necessarily
correct.
2 weeks or a
Yes.
month's worth of things.
Yes.
And then not everything would need to be electronic either.
Correct.
Okay, but
Yeah.
just submitting electronically or
Yeah.
whatever. Okay.
Yep. And my other piece on other, I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware with our evidence-based funding. Pritzker a couple weeks ago had his budget address where he tied our evidence-based funding money, additional funding money, to the passing of the graduated income tax. So they are holding $200 million in kind of a safe that will only be released if that gets passed. And
they're holding it hostage.
they are, yes, holding it hostage. We have been told that we will get the money that we've always gotten, so up through the last 3 years that we will still get that money. It's the additional money that they are going to be prorating out. We have been told that Tier 1 and Tier 2 districts, which we fall under, would be priority, but that would be prorated, and we would not be getting what they have already promised. So they gave it to us for a little while and then are pulling it back. That being said, we have always budgeted in this district to receive no additional funds beyond what we had gotten the year before. So that is how we will continue to budget, but it's something we need to watch and to be really cognizant of as we go into these discussions for finances. So I just want to make sure everyone was aware of that. That being said, this district and this board has done a very nice job of making sure we have healthy fund balances and to get us through when the state does things like this, when they promise things and don't deliver. So I wanted to commend this district and this board on doing that. That's why it's been done. So, all right, I'm going to turn it over to Chief School Business Official.
Okay, since our last study session, we had a conversation about what to do with all this old obsolete equipment that's in our basement and throughout our buildings. And I actually reached out to our Illinois ISO website, which is the School Business Manager's website, and I'm always amazed at the feedback I get. So I just basically said, we have all this equipment, what do people do with it? And the responses were overwhelming. And some people, like we had talked about, some people just recycle it and just pay somebody to basically take it off our hands. Others do a sale to either staff or the community. And some actually have like a surplus sale. that they advertise online, on the websites, even in newspapers. So I'm still exploring some options, but there's a lot of things out there. And then when I originally reached out, I was really only thinking like the old computers and laptops and things. But other districts dispose of furniture as well. You always want to reach out to neighboring districts as well first, but I've done that in the past. We've had these pianos. Megan knows about the pianos. Nobody wants them, you know. So there is an opportunity to get rid of these old items, give them to people, not give them, sell them to people that can use them. And we're always talking about space and kind of freeing up a little bit of space that we're in, which is so sparse these days. So I'm just going to kind of continue reaching out and looking into options on that. And then the other item is the replacement of the fire alarm panel. We did get notification that that grant was approved. And so that's the $50,000 grant that we're going to get from the Illinois State Board of Education. And last week, actually before the grant was officially approved, because we had the numbers came out where we really kind of knew we were going to get approved. Myself, Wes, Smith, and our architect and the architect's engineer met to discuss the options. And what we always kind of had a plan for was just the replacement of the fire panel, which we still think is going to be less than $100,000. And so that looks like that should be well within the limits. And just as a professional courtesy, we were going to set up a meeting with the Chicago Ridge Fire Chief, just to let him know what our plans were, because they're basically, they come into the building when we have an issue with that panel. And they're the ones that have been telling us it's rather obsolete. So hopefully later in the week we'll reach out, Dr. Thorns and I, and hopefully the architect will sit down with the chief and go over our plans and just make sure it's okay. That's it.
Questions for Kathy?
Wait till close.
We are at old business and the potential board action to post for a second reading or adopt the following policies. We have not had any public comment at this point. 4.8, accounting and audits. The hiring process and criteria. The question was, has the board adopted the exceptions into this policy? Adding, unless the applicant's wage or salary history is a matter of public record or is contained in a document completed by the applicant's current or former employer and then made available to the public by the employer, or then submitted or posted by the employer to comply with the state or federal law, or the applicant is current employee applying for a position with the same current employer. The administrative recommendation is not to adopt that extra phrasing. Terms and conditions and employment and dismissal. 5250, leave of absence. 5290, employment, termination, and suspensions. 5330, sick days, vacation, holidays, and leaves. 660, curriculum and content. The question was, does the board want to offer a course on hunting safety as part of our curriculum? The administrative recommendation was no. 7270, administering medicine to students. The question was, has the board adopted the school district supply of undesignated glucagon subsection? The administrative recommendation is no. And 830, visitors to and conduct on school property or communications using district-provided telephone or electronic mail system. Question was, does the board want to narrow the policy to mere 105 ILCS 5/2424? And again, the administrative recommendation is no.
How do we proceed on making a motion with it?
I have it written. Lord wrote it nice for me.
I'll read it.
Does the board make a motion to adopt the policies as stated with administration recommendations?
I will make that motion.
Do we have a second? Mrs. Callen?
Aye.
Mrs. Egan?
Aye.
Mrs. Petropoulos?
Aye.
Ms. Davenport?
Aye.
Mr. Hillman?
Aye.
Mrs. Lammel?
Aye.
And Mrs. Sulzer?
Aye. Okay, new business. Potential action to approve school calendar for 2021.
With the adjustments of May 14th as a Teacher Institute Day and the School Improvement Day being in May, being moved to May 26th.
And then the one early dismissal day. Did we move
That's
that?
the
That was the school improvement day.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
right over.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Mrs. Lammle?
Aye.
Mrs. Petropoulos?
Aye.
Ms. Davenport?
Aye.
Mr. Hillman?
Aye.
Mrs. Egan?
Aye.
Mrs. Callen?
Aye.
And Mrs. Salter?
Aye. Potential board action, designated person to prepare our 2021 budget. How that's gonna be happening? Who does the budget?
I think we
Yeah.
have to make it,
Yeah.
No.
I'll
Kathy,
make- I'll
right,
make-
Kathy?
No.
Is it gonna
We
be
make it-
Bill? No.
it has to be Dr. Thorne and
It's
then
Dr.
Thorne.
Thorne's
Yeah.
with
Make-
Kathy's
Fine.
assistant.
I'll
Yeah.
make the motion to make Dr. Thorne's the person to prepare the budget.
Okay.
A second.
Okay, Ms. Davenport?
Aye.
Mrs. Callen?
Aye.
Mrs. Lammle?
Aye.
Mrs. Petropoulos?
Aye.
Mr. Hillman?
Aye.
Mrs. Egan?
Aye.
Mrs. Salter?
Aye.
Thank you for making me in charge of the budget. Yeah, yeah.
And now you get to delegate.
Uh-huh.
No, I'm looking at Lori, made sure.
Oh, yeah,
This
she,
whole-
yeah, they do. Uh-huh. She knows.
She's not here,
She's on
but she's
That's
here.
why.
She's on
But she's
vacation, she'll
here.
run the meeting.
Uh-huh.
Okay, potential board action to approve contract with Swing Education for hard to fill positions.
If you remember, that is our contract that we were looking to approve to help with our substitutes. And they said, once it's approved and we give them the go-ahead, they can have it online within 3 hours. So we're looking to get that put in place very quickly.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Mrs. Petropoulos?
Aye.
Mrs. Egan?
Aye.
Ms. Davenport?
Aye.
Mr. Hillman?
Aye.
Mrs. Callen?
Aye.
Mrs. Lammle?
Aye.
And Mrs. Salter?
Aye. Potential board action to approve contract with Max Staffing for hard to fill positions.
And our next two contracts are for positions over at Ridge Lawn. One is for our social worker, guidance counselor, who is out. She had a baby a couple of weeks ago. And then the other one is for a paraprofessional. We had a student move in who required one.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Mrs. Egan?
Aye.
Mr. Hillman?
Aye.
Mrs. Lammle?
Aye.
Mrs. Petropoulos?
Aye.
Mrs. Callen?
Aye.
Ms. Davenport?
Aye.
And Mrs. Salter?
Aye. Potential board action to approve contract with Stepping Stone Staffing for hard to fill positions.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Hillman?
Aye.
Mrs. Petropoulos?
Aye.
Mrs. Egan?
Aye.
Mrs. Callen?
Aye.
Ms. Davenport?
Aye.
Mrs. Lammle?
Aye.
And Mrs. Salter?
Aye. Potential board action to approve the use of private investigator for residency cases at $35 an hour.
And if you remember at our study session, I discussed how we've been using LexisNexis to really kind of filter out a lot of that, and that we had two families that we felt we still needed to do a little bit more with, and this would be to assist with that.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
That was Meredith, the second. Mrs. Callen?
Aye.
Mrs. Lammle?
Aye.
Mr. Hillman?
Aye.
Mrs. Egan?
Aye.
Ms. Davenport?
Aye.
Mrs. Petropoulos?
Aye.
And Mrs. Salter?
Aye. Potential board action to place math curriculum materials on public display.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Mrs. Lammle?
Aye.
Ms. Davenport?
Aye.
Mrs. Petropoulos?
Aye.
Mr. Hillman?
Aye.
Mrs. Callen?
Aye.
Mrs. Egan?
Aye.
And Mrs. Salter?
Aye. Potential board action to approve hiring of 2 instructional math coaches to work at K-5 teachers at Ridge Central and Ridge Lawn for the 2021 school year.
I'll make the motion.
A second.
Ms. Davenport?
Aye.
Mr. Hillman?
Aye.
Mrs. Egan?
Aye.
Mrs. Callen?
Aye.
Mrs. Lammle?
Aye.
Mrs. Petropoulos?
Aye.
And Mrs. Salter?
Aye. That's it. Any more other?
I don't have any others now.
Okay. Meeting reports?
Nothing?
Other? Informational?
Nothing.
Opportunity for visitors to speak. Anybody? Opportunity, say it now. Okay, last time, opportunity for visitors to speak. President's prerogative. Just real quickly, we don't know what's gonna happen with this coronavirus. And this new plan is gonna put more work on you guys, but we, as you all know, we don't have a choice. It's one of those do or die moments. And everybody's gonna have to step up, including us. So, if you guys need anything, you need to let us know. That's it. And I was joking about taking Melissa. I didn't think you'd want that.
No.
I don't think she'd go.
I don't think she'd want it.
All right.
That's it.
Do I need a-
Yeah, let's
need a
adjourn
motion?
to closed session for the purpose of.
The discussion of appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body to determine its validity as defined in the Open Meetings Act, Section 2C1, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees as defined in Section 2C2, the discussion of security members and the use of personnel and equipment to respond in actual, a threatened, or reasonably potential danger to the safety of employees, students, the staff, the public, or public property as defined in Section 2CA. We will not discuss student disciplinary cases. We will discuss the discussion of pending or probable and imminent litigation against, affecting, or on behalf of the district as defined in Section 2C11, and the discussion of minutes of prior meetings lawfully closed under the Open Meetings Act as defined in Section 2C21 for the purpose of review, approval, or release of such minutes.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
7:31.
Ms. Petropoulos?
Hi.
Mrs. Egan?
Aye.
Ms. Davenport? Mr. Hillman?
Aye.
Mrs. Callen?
Hi.
Mrs. Lammel?
Aye.
And Mrs. Seltzer.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Looks like us.
Yeah, I was saying, there is the picture on.
So we just do that.
Yep.
We do this. Oh, this is for the races.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I do it once a class. Everyone starts showing.
Change it to 213.
Yep.
Okay, 1 second, guys. Okay, we already did that. Potential board action on personnel consent agenda. That's for all these different employees that Dr.
The new hires and
Yeah.
the
Dr. Dorrance
resignations,
went
the
over.
FMLA.
Just the board, there's the hires.
I'll make a motion for the personnel consent agenda as stated.
Okay.
Give a second.
I'll second the motion.
Mrs. Egan?
Aye.
Ms. Petropoulos?
Aye.
Mrs. Callen?
Aye.
Mrs. Lammel?
Aye.
Mr. Hillman?
Aye.
Ms. Davenport?
Aye.
And Mrs. Salzer?
Aye. Potential board action on non-renewal of employment for the following employees: Ava Suzanne,
Session.
Assessor, is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Need a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Hillman?
Aye.
Ms. Davenport?
Aye.
Mrs. Callen?
Aye.
Mrs. Lammel?
Aye.
Mrs. Petropoulos?
Aye.
Mrs. Egan?
Aye.
And Mrs. Salzer?
Aye. Potential board action on resolution releasing closed session minutes of instruction of verbatim recordings 18 months and older.
Did that last motion at 14.2 also entitled 14.3?
That was just a notification of resignation.
Yeah,
We're just
there's no
notifying. Yep.
action on it.
We're looking for a motion for 14.4.
Make the motion. I'll second.
Mrs. Callen?
Aye.
Mrs. Egan?
Aye.
Mrs. Petropoulos?
Aye.
Ms. Davenport?
Aye.
Mr. Hillman?
Aye.
Mrs. Lammel?
Aye.
And Mrs. Salzer?
Aye. Potential board action to approve administrative contracts for 2021. That's for Ms. Piccolini, Hildegans, for Dr. Mendoza. That's to change hers to 213 days. And Ms. Nothango, Sotaro, Youngsburg, Bayesian, Georgianis, and Gizmer.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Ms. Davenport,
Aye.
Mrs. Callen,
Aye.
Mrs. Lammle,
Aye.
Mrs. Petropoulos,
Aye.
Mr. Hillman,
Aye.
Mrs. Egan,
Aye.
and Mrs. Salzer.
Aye. Can we get the motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
8:55.
Mrs. Petropoulos,
Aye.
Mrs. Egan,
Aye.
Ms. Davenport,
Aye.
Mr. Hillman,
Aye.
Mrs. Callen,
Aye.
Mrs. Lammle,
Aye.
and Mrs. Salzer.
Aye. Clerk reflected no other business was.
Already done.
Oh.
I was